We were saying in the verse number 24 that Lord Krishna had given three principal techniques or spiritual disciplines, primary spiritual disciplines, meant for man's liberation. First he spoke of dhyana, the state and the practice of meditation. Meditation is that process by which the Atman within gets perceived, the perceiving process. And in this perceiving process, via the Brahmakara Vritti, with the help of the Brahmakara Vritti, the mind is made to become aware of Brahman. So awareness of Brahman transpires. That process is said to be dhyana or meditation. Remember one thing, then in this meditation proper, there is no mental activity at all. It is only the mind which reposes in the Atman, in tranquil calmness, being aware of it. So two things transpire. One is that the mind is focused on the Atman, and then along with it, the awareness of it is also transpiring. Then the second discipline that he gave was wherein one is still not totally detached from the movements and the workings of Prakriti or nature, which is said to be Kshetra in this particular chapter. And therefore, in order to get oneself detached from the Kshetra, next discipline called the Sankhya discipline was mentioned. And in this, the individual understands that he is a Purusha, reposes as the Purusha, and being the Purusha, witnesses the operations of nature all around. And then at the same time, becomes more successful with this witness operation of nature all around. When he becomes more and more detached, then he would be in a position to witness the Purusha as well. Then thereafter, the third discipline that he mentioned was Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is also a total discipline, wherein Karma Eva Yoga, the performance of actions, the performance of enjoined duties and functions in the world, is now said to be done as a yoga. And it only becomes a yoga only when the mind is, or when one is aware of the Atman, and then at the same time simultaneously goes through the operation. A very good example for this is, for the practice of Karma Yoga is, wherein a mother is taking care of a newborn baby in the cot, but she cannot be in the bedroom all the time, so she goes around the house doing household works. But at the same time, she doesn't lose awareness of the newborn baby. So also, the same way too, one maintains the awareness with the Atman and then goes on functioning and operating in the world and doing one's karmas. This is said to be Karma Yoga. So this is also a principal method by which one can attain to moksha or liberation. So this is what he mentioned as Karma Yogena cha apare. So those others who still have got to live and function in the world, who have got duties and responsibilities in the world, they have to go through life as a Karma Yoga. So in Karma Yoga, apart from the fact that one is not attached or concerned with the end results of the action, but one is only concerned with every action in process, only concerned with the action. Then secondly, while going through the actions, one performs these actions in a detached manner. Whether one likes it or dislikes is not the consideration. Whether it is a pleasant or an unpleasant action, one performs these actions in a detached, pleasant way. And then at the same time, one performs these actions without a sense of ego, feeling that one is an instrument. Feeling that one is an instrument, as an instrument, one performs these actions. Then also, Karma Yoga also could be said to be wherein one dedicates these actions to the Lord itself, to Ishvara, to the Lord, and performs them as such. So as an oblation, all these actions are performed and dedicatedly performed with dedication and offered to the very Lord itself. So in this way, Karma Yoga is performed in the world. So it is a total discipline because the awareness is there. The awareness of the Atman is always there. So in the periphery of one's awareness, just as much as the mother maintains the periphery of awareness in the baby in the cot, but at the same time she goes about performing all actions. So also Karma Yoga is up to be performed. Then it's said to be Karma Yoga. Then having said this much, he goes on to say in the verse number 25, Anyetu evam ajananta srutva anyepya upasate tepi cha aditaranti eva mrityum suti parayanaha. Anyetu evam ajananta. There are others who lack the capacity to spiritually understand the science of spiritual life. They have got faith. They have got faith. And perhaps may have a little lack of understanding, the intricacies of understanding. So therefore what do these people do? To those people, evam ajananta, who do not understand the spiritual science, because spiritual living is a science, just as anything else is a science, which has to be understood, and it has got its own science in it. So also spiritual life is a science. It's a scientific way of living life in a spiritual sense. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, it goes on and on. So one follows the other. That's why it's a science. And one is connected to the other in all its intricacies. So when it is totally understood from all its perspectives and points of view, then one can correlate the entire science. And this is not possible for many people. For many people, this sort of understanding may not be possible for them. So what do these people do? Anyetu evam ajanantaga, those people who are so unable to comprehend the intricacies of the science, because there's certain amount of philosophy also involved in it. Philosophy, psychology, all this is involved in this understanding. Then srutva anyepya upasate. Having heard, anyepya, from others, they practice upasate, they practice. In good faith and in good belief, they practice. Tepi, they also, cha aditaranti eva mrityum suti parayanaha. So those people also, suti parayanaha. So those people who have got faith and confidence in what they have heard from others, maybe some teachers in whom they may have some faith and whom they consider as a wiser person, then totally believing in what he says without thinking very much and being told what to do and what not to do, they just follow it up. And sincerely go through their practices. So he says, what happens to him? Tepi, they also, te api, cha aditaranti eva mrityum, they also overcome in course of time. In course of time, the mortality, mrityu. They also overcome this samsaric existence. Mrityu means existence in the empirical universe is said to be death. Because you have got to go and come, repeatedly go and come. Every time you go and come, there is death taking place. So this they transcend. Aditaranti, they overcome this too. In verse number 25, which is a very intricate verse, he is now trying to bring out, Lord Krishna is trying to bring out the basic root cause of this whole problem. How the Kshetra got tangled up with the Kshetrajna. What caused this problem? What caused this? What caused the Kshetra and Kshetrajna to get tangled up, and as a result of it attain to this state? So he says, Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam stavara jangamam Kshetra samyogat tat viddhi bharata rishabha. Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam. Yavat, whatever. Sattvam, kinchit sattvam. Whatever thing which has transpired, consciousness or living substance, which has transpired in the world, sanjayate kinchit sattvam. And what stavara jangamam? And what type? Stavara jangamam. Stavara, that which is plants and etc. Stavara jangamam. Jangamam is that which is mobile. That which is mobile is animals and humans and devatas. So three things which are mobiles. One is the animals, the other is the humans, the third is the devatas. So whatever transpires in this whole universe, so either as stavara, as rooted life substances or moving substances, and what is it due to? He says the cause of this is primarily due to Kshetra Kshetrajna samyoga tat viddhi bharata rishabha. Oh Bharata Rishabha. So Bharata Rishabha means Rishabha is bull, or bull amongst men, or foremost amongst men. Foremost amongst men. Because he is a standout, Arjuna is a standout person, a mighty person. So therefore he is addressed that way. So may you understand that, so with thee, may you understand Kshetra Kshetrajna samyogat, by the samyoga, by the connection, or by the coming together, samyoga of Kshetra and Kshetrajna. One is the Kshetra, the other is the Kshetrajna. So the two coming together, samyoga, they have developed a samyoga. And as a result of this connection that has transpired between the inextricable connection, bandh, which has transpired. So as a result of this bandhan, so a situation has transpired. And what is this samyoga? So the word samyoga has been used. It's a very intricate word. Samyoga, connection, or bandhanam, bondage or connection. So here it is something very interestingly mentioned. It's a very unusual thing which has taken place between two things which are totally disparate and different. They are two totally different things. But two different things coming together and superimposing themselves upon each other. Mutually superimposing one upon the other, one's dharma and nature upon the other. Mutually they do, by doing so, one has developed a new character as a result of this. And this is the cause of the whole problem. This is the new character which has got developed is called the jiva, who is a samsari, who is in bondage, human bondage, the jiva. So the jivatva character has transpired because of this mutual superimposition of one upon the other. So what are these two? So he says, one is said to be the Kshetra. What is this Kshetra? This Kshetra is said to be avidya tat karyatmakam. It is avidya and its effects. And its effects in the form of jadam. It is inert. It has no life. Jadam. Anirvachaniyam. It is something, this is said to be anirvachaniyam because it cannot be explained as to what it is. It is neither sat nor asat. It is neither real nor unreal. It is but something which has transpired. So you can't explain, but it is. Drishya jatam. And it is that which is seen. All that which is seen, drishya jatam. All that which is seen. This is said to be the Kshetram. And Kshetrajna is Vilakshanam. That is something very distinct and different from that. So Kshetrajna is that which, that Basakam, that which illumines. That which illumines. Swaprakasham. Swaprakasham. Swaprakasham means it's self-revealing. It is self-revealing. Full of Chaitanya. Chaitanya. So Chaitanya means it is of consciousness. The other was Jada. It is of consciousness. Asangaha. Asanga stands for that it is totally unattached to anything. Totally unattached. Udasina. It is unattached and totally distinct. Udas. There's nothing to do with the functionings of nature. And it is Advatiyam. It is one. It is one. So such a character called the Kshetrajna, has somehow or other got fused up or infused with the Kshetra. And as a result, this is called, that's Samyoga. This is that Samyoga. And this Samyoga is very peculiar. It's very extraordinary. It is not a Samyoga or connection or which exists between two different things like the pot and the rope. They are two different things. You can't bring them together. You can't, no matter can you bring them together. They are two different things. At the same time, this is also not like the clay and the pot. The clay is in the pot, and the pot is none different from the clay. You can't separate the clay from the pot. It is not such a process of admixture also. But it is something very different from these two. Totally different. And it is like what? It is like seeing a snake on a rope. Seeing a snake on a rope. Or, second example is seeing a mother of pearl on a shell. So, even though it is not there, even though the snake is not there, but the snake is appearing there. Yes, Pratita, the snake is appearing there. It's not there. It is appearing there. So the snake cannot be said to be real. The snake also cannot be said to be unreal. So that is why it is called mithya. It is mithya. It is something which is appearing there. It's an appearance. And the snake and the rope have no intrinsic connection. They have no connection at all. Where the snake vision is, where the snake is appearing, there itself is the rope. The rope is just there. But nevertheless, the snake vision is there. The snake is appearing there. Even though they have no real connection. There is no real connection. So it is this peculiar situation which has transpired between the Kshetra and the Kshetrajna. Between the Kshetra and the Kshetrajna. The second example was the shell and the mother of pearl. In twilight, on the seashore, you may see a mother of pearl on a shell there. But it's only a little shell because of the glittering stars, starlight and etc. It may appear to be a mother of pearl. But really it is not there. Just an appearance. So it is in this manner that the whole thing is taking place. So therefore, this adhyasa, this particular samyoga between Kshetra and Kshetrajna is something like, that is why Bhashyakara himself is so beautifully pulling this section out. So he says, Kshetra Kshetrajnayor Vishya Vishayinor Binna Subhavayor. So Kshetra Kshetrajnayor, Kshetra and Kshetrajnayor, Vishya Vishayinor. One is the Vishya, the object, Vishya, and Vishayi, the subject. The Kshetrajna is the subject, and the Kshetra is the object. Vishya Vishayinor Binna Subhava. They are of different nature. And what is their different nature? The Kshetra is Jada and many, while the Kshetrajna is full of Chaitanya and it is one. It is like Akasha, Niravya, Avayavam. So, while the Jadam is Sa-Avayavam, is full of parts, is made up of so many factors, and this is Nira-Avayavam, bereft of any limiting agents. So, these two things which are totally disparate in nature have got mixed up here. Itara. So that is their name, and their dharmas also. Not only have they got mutually superimposed or mutually identified with each other, but they impose their dharmas also upon each other. Dharmas means their peculiar individual character too, the individual character. And that also they have superimposed upon each other. And what is the character? The character of the Kshetra is that it has got a body, a limited body. That is the character. So the nature of the body has been superimposed upon the Atman. The Atma, Anatma. So Anatma is the Kshetra. Atma is the Kshetrajna, the knower of the field, Kshetrajna. And the field, so the field, here the field is the body. The body has been superimposed upon the Kshetrajna, and therefore the Kshetrajna says, I have a body. Or he says, or more than that, he says, I am fat, or I am thin. I am fat, or I am thin. So the fatness and the thinness, the character of the body has been superimposed upon himself. And then Indriyas, the senses, he is identified so much with the senses. He says, I can see well, I am a little blind, I can hear well, or my hearing is a little short. So he is now identified with the senses. So the dharmas of the senses have been now superimposed upon the Kshetrajna. Then the dharmas of the mind too. My mind is very restless today, or my mind is very sharp. So the characteristics of the mind have been superimposed upon the Kshetrajna. Then the intellect too. So with the respect to the intellect, he says, I'm knowledgeable, I am ignorant, I am knowledgeable. These are the dharmas of the intellect, the nature of the intellect, to know and not to know. So he is imposing, the qualities of the intellect he is imposing upon the Kshetrajna. So all of this is, this is the qualities of the Kshetra or the body is superimposed upon the Kshetrajna. Now all of these are inert in nature. Now the Kshetrajna's dharma is also in turn superimposed upon this, the Kshetra or the body, upon the body itself. And therefore he says, so when he says that, he says, I am sick. So the body has no intelligence to say that I am sick. He has got identified with the body. His Chaitanya aspect has got identified with it. And it feels that, oh, I am sick today. Oh, I am full of vibrant energy today. So in this way, nature and dharma of the Kshetrajna has been also superimposed upon the Kshetra. So this mutual superimposition is called as Adhyasa. This is the meaning of the word Adhyasa, mutual superimposition. So due to this, and this is all due to, this factor is due to what? This of course is, so this mutual superimposition of Adhyasa is what is called as Samyoga here. The word Samyoga which he has used here in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, is this Adhyasa, mutual superimposition of the Kshetra and the Kshetrajna upon each other, along with their dharmas, along with their nature. mutually, their nature and their properties have got mutually superimposed upon each other. Just like the existence of the rope is transferred, superimposed upon the snake, and the character of the snake has been superimposed upon the rope, and as a result of it, you are saying, I'm afraid of that snake there. I'm afraid of that snake there. It may bite. It may bite. So this is called adhyasa. This is all adhyasa. So adhyasa means what? Mistaking one thing for another thing. Mistaking one thing for another thing. Mistaking the rope for a snake. Mistaking the rope. So that is why he says, Ko ayam adhyasa. What is this adhyasa? Atasmin tat buddhihi adhyasa. Atasmin tat buddhihi. Atasmin. On what is not there, atasmin tat buddhihi. You have a new perception there.
जो वहाँ नहीं है
वही दिखाई दे रहा है. Atasmin. तो है ही नहीं, परंतु उसमें लगा दिया. So that which is not there, the snake which is not there, on that you impose a snake there. You impose a snake there. Atasmin tat buddhihi. This is that adhyasa. So as a result of it, all these problems have risen. These are root cause of the whole problem of human existence, or the root cause of samsara, of existence in the world as an individual. Then this is from when? Anadi Kalse. Anadi Kalse. There is no beginning for this. You see, it is like saying no one ever consciously walks into ignorance. All of a sudden you found you are ignorant. All of a sudden you found it. No one ever consciously walks into a ditch. If you have a ditch, you are not going to consciously walk into it. All of a sudden you find that you are in the ditch. You've fallen down and inside the ditch. So here also that is what has happened. It is anadi. You find yourself in this situation. In this situation. So that is why then he says, Chetra Chetrajna Swarupa Viveka Abhava Nibandhanam. This whole problem was basically due to Viveka Abhava, the absence of discrimination between the two. Just like the perception of the snake upon the rope, it was due to basically Viveka Abhava, to know the snake as a snake and the rope as the rope. They are two different things. They are two different things. Viveka Abhava. So really speaking, there is no snake there. Viveka Abhava. So once you know the distinction between these two, and then when you have your awareness on the rope, then you will only see it as a rope. Now, a young man was walking in twilight, in semi-darkness. All of a sudden, he saw a snake on his footpath. He stopped because he is now seeing the snake. Then soon after came an old bearded man behind. So he told him, Maharaji, don't go there, don't proceed, there is a snake there. So the old man said, No, my boy, there is no snake there. There is no snake there. No, I am seeing a snake. No, just take 1 or 2 steps closer, then you will see that it is not a snake. No, it may bite me. Don't worry, I am telling you, you do that. So the old man also takes 1 or 2 steps, and then the young fellow also takes the courage to take 1 or 2, 3 steps. Then the old man tells, the old bearded man, he is now the guru. So he says, take a good look. Take a good look. So as he keeps on taking a good look at the snake, then at that time what happens? As he is taking a good look, the snake vision goes away and the rope vision takes place. Then when he sees the rope vision, when he sees the rope, he is quite happy. And then the old man asks, what about the snake? And the young fellow turns back and says, what snake are you talking about? There is no snake there. What snake? Here also the same thing. Ajnana dashame. Due to this ignorant perception, you develop this wrong perception. So, and when did this wrong perception come? Anadi Kalse. Anadi Kalse. So Anadi Kal means from time immemorial. It has come down. It has come down for millions and millions of years. It's come down and will continue until the correction is made. Until the correction is made. So therefore he says, Viveka Abhava Nibandanam. This problem will exist until there is proper Viveka or spiritual discernment or discrimination. Until that, this problem will remain. Just like the rope snake situation, it will remain. But it's a very peculiar thing if the reverse happens. Because one of my teachers who was teaching me, he was telling me that when he was moving about as a Parivrajaka happened, so one day he saw a beautiful stick lying on the ground. And sadhus who move about on foot, they have a beautiful stick. So he found, hey, this is a pretty stick. He went to pick it up. And as he tried to pick it up, the stick moved. So ulta, just the opposite of it. Sometimes you can mistake a snake for a stick. But fortunately that snake was wise enough to move away and not bite him. So this happens.
For this, Swamiji, Nitya Vivek is necessary.
That is right. Always. Because Anadi Kalse, you see, from time immemorial it has come. Even if you are told once, it won't stick in it won't go away. So
because the first example, it was all right.
All right.
But other example is dangerous. First example, there is escape that we are mistaking snake in the rope.
Yeah.
But the reverse one, it is more fatal. So that tells that we should be awareness continuous.
Yes. We have to be. But in any case it is fatal. Both ways it is fatal only. Both ways it is fatal. Either way. So, and this ignorance, this is the nature of adhyasa or mutual superimposition. This avivek, the absence of spiritual discernment or discrimination. And this is called mithya jnana lakshanaga. This is the mithya jnana or jnana lakshanaga. Mithya. Because of this mithya, this is not a real problem. But it is an apparent problem. That is why the word mithya has been used. It's only a myth, because if it was a real problem, you can't escape. It's only a mithya. Mithya means apparent problem. Apparent. It's not really a problem. The world is not a real world. So since it is not a real world, it is not a real perception. It is only a misperception. Misperception. Or a wrong perception. And a misperception or wrong perception is always due to what? Ignorance. Ignorance. So the another word for ignorance is avidya. So that is where avidya mula karanam for the entire problem. Avidya, ignorance, spiritual ignorance. Not the ordinary type of avidya, but this is the character of this avidya, which has caused this problem. So, if this is the case, then therefore, Swarupa Ajnana Nibandhanaha Samsara. What is samsara? It is Swarupa Ajnana, the ignorance of one's own nature, Swarupa. So this situation is said to be samsara or worldly existence. Then this has to be corrected by what? Rupa Jnanat. Swarupa Jnana, the opposite of it. By the Swarupa Jnana, that is a knowledge of one's own real nature, the nature of one's own Atman, it gets resolved.
जब मुझे अपना वास्तविक स्वरूप पता चल गया तो मेरा ये सब अज्ञान
सब दूर हो गया, अज्ञान दूर हो गया, का अज्ञान का कार्य है संसार, वो भी दूर हो जाएगा.
रज्जु रोग का पता चल गया तो
सब में अपने आप निकल जाएगा. वो भय भी फिर निकल जाएगा,
वो भय
भी चले जाएगा. So this is what it is. Just like also what, like a dream, waking up from the dream. So therefore this is the situation. So therefore it is just like what you are saying. Maya nirmita, Gandharva Nagaram. The whole thing is a show. This whole universe is a Gandharva Nagaram. It is really a Gandharva Nagaram. जो है ही नहीं दुनिया, वो दिखाई पड़ रहा है, बड़ा चमत्कार का दुनिया. That's why the word Gandharva Nagaram has been used. So Gandharva Nagaram, or Swapna Drishta, just like in a dream, you are going through the whole problem. But when you wake up from the dream, the entire dream episode disappears. So therefore, once one has obtained the proper knowledge of the Atman as Atman, which is the Kshetrajna, and then the proper knowledge of the Kshetra as the Anatman. Now thereafter one can go about having an intelligent dialogue with both. So the Kshetra as Kshetra and Kshetrajna as Kshetrajna. So this is the whole situation. This is the whole situation. Kshetrajna samyoga tat viddhi Bharata Rishabha. Oh Arjuna, may you understand that this is because of this adhyasa called mutual superimposition between these two, that the whole problem has transpired. One is and the other is not. The Kshetrajna is, Kshetra is not. Kshetra is Chaitanya, Kshetrajna is Chaitanya, Kshetra is Jada. So once this proper understanding is there, then correspondingly you will be able to take a corresponding standpoint with respect to the two of them. Then having said this, in the next verse, he is now trying to make you understand the Kshetrajna is. The Kshetrajna, what it is, what is it really? So in verse number 27 he says, Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyatu avineshantam yah pashyati sa pashyati. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram. He sees the Parameshwar, the Supreme Divine. The Supreme Divine is called Parameshwar because it is that which is present in all the individuals, all beings as their own Atma. It is the Atma or the Self of all beings. Therefore, Parama Ishvaraha, Parameshwaraha, Parameshwaram. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam, which abides in all beings with its own same nature. It is not that it is more present in some and less present in others. It is equally present. Equally present. Sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam. Equally present in all things. Not that it is more present in devatas and less present in humans or less present in animals. It is equally present in everything. So there is nothing which is high or low in the world. So samarasaha. So see this one essence is that in all the beings, bhuteshu. So bhuteshu means bhavana dharmakeshu. That which is, bhuta means that which transpires. That which transpires as a being is called sarva bhuteshu. In all the beings, which transpires as a being. And it transpires due to what? Due to the three gunas. Due to the three gunas, every being transpires. And then, and not only how does it transpire, every moment, at every moment, everything in the whole universe, chanchaleshu, chanchala subhava. It is not only the mind which has got the chanchala subhava, but everything in the whole universe is changing. Drishta nashta subhava. Drishta nashta subhava. That means as you see, it disappears and a new thing takes over. As you see, it disappears and the next one takes over. So drishta nashta, seeing itself, it changes itself and modifies itself. So pratikshanam parinaminoto. So every moment it's changing, and that is the nature of every being. And this we find, this change is taking place in every being, in every pore of his body. Even in his own mind it is taking place. Every moment there is a change which is taking place, which is transpiring. And not only that, in your own Shanika Vijnana also, your Vijnana. Vijnana means your human awareness. With your human awareness, it is all a Shanika Vijnana. Shanika Vijnana yahi baat hai. Yahi hai, Shanika Vijnana, but it has been miscomprehended and distorted by both of the people, by the Hindus as well as the Buddhists. They have not properly understood this. So here, Shanika Vijnana. So every moment itself, this consciousness is changing. Shanika Vijnana. One moment it is the consciousness of the pot. The next moment it is the consciousness of the tree. The next moment the akasha. The next moment it is the Vijnana or the awareness of of the flowers. Every time it's changing. Kshanika Vijnana. So not only does the mind undergo change, its Vijnana also. Kshanika Vijnana. So therefore, that which is the constantly remains there in all of these changing phenomena is the Atman, the Parameshwar. So Vinashyatsu Avinashyantam, and these all perishing. Vinashyatsu. Every moment it is perishing. All of these factors are perishing every moment. So since they are perishing every moment, in all these perishables, he sees the Avinashyantam, that the imperishable oneness. The imperishable one Atman is being perceived. And this is being perceived by what? Who has given you this teaching that it is so? Shastra Drishtiya. Shastra Chakshusha. Shastra Chakshusha, by the eye of the scripture. It's only the scripture which is not revealing this to you. So therefore it is the eye of with the help of the eye of the scripture. Shastra Chakshu. This Shastra Chakshu means the eye of the scripture. It is the same thing as Jnana Chakshu. Once you have understood, the same Shastra Chakshu becomes Jnana Chakshu. What is the eye of the scripture becomes, once you have understood, becomes the Jnana Chakshu, or the knowledge vision. So when you see this thing with this knowledge vision which has been provided for you, that is the purpose of the scripture. Remember this. The purpose of the scripture is to give you this spiritual eye, Jnana Chakshu, the wisdom perception. This wisdom eye, it is to give you this wisdom eye. So in order to give you this wisdom eye, the entire scripture is there. So once you have got this wisdom eye, then see everything, see the whole panorama of life around you with this wisdom eye, Jnana Chakshu. And what is this Jnana Chakshu? Samam Sarveshu Bhuteshu. It is that one principle which exists. See that one principle everywhere. So this is the practical application of it. If you don't apply this knowledge into your life, then it is futile, wasted knowledge. So therefore, this is the process. So just as much as when we said, take a good look. Vinashyatsu avinashyantam yah pashyati. He who sees this, yah pashyati, sa pashyati. The person who so sees well, sa pashyati.
तो सब में ज्ञान चक्षु से सब में एक रस आत्मा को देखता है, वही सही देखता है.
वही सही देख रहा है, sa pashyati. The one who sees the rope in the snake, one who sees in the snake the rope. So the rope vision is the right vision, and that is he who sees, he sees well. So also here too, in the spiritual sense, in all the perishable things, he who sees it with the one vision of the Atman truly sees. This is the purpose of the scripture. So once you keep on taking a good look at it for some time, over a period of time, because anadi samskara, anadi